The candle burns out before dawn. You are already awake. Your sword is beside your pillow, not across the room. That is not tradition. That is fear. You are a samurai in feudal Japan, sometime during the Edo period when the swords have mostly gone quiet, but the discipline never has. You serve a daimyo, a regional lord, and your entire life belongs to a code most people today only know from movies. Real samurai left behind letters, diaries, and household records. Historians like Stephen Turnbull and Eiko Ikegami have spent careers piecing together what those documents actually say. And what they say is stranger and sadder than the legend. You rise before sunrise. There is no snooze button in feudal Japan. Your household is awake with you. Servants are already boiling water. Your wife or mother lays out your clothing in silence because talking too much in the morning is considered undisciplined. You wash your face with cold water. No soap, just ash-based cleanser and river water carried in from a well. Your teeth get cleaned with a chewed willow twig, split at the end into soft bristles. Dentist did not exist. Tooth pain was simply endured. Then comes dressing, and dressing is not simple. A kimono is wrapped, folded, and tied in a specific order, layer by layer. Over it goes your hakama, wide pleated trousers that hide your legs so your enemies cannot read your footwork. On top, if you are in service that day, goes your crest-marked coat, announcing exactly which lord owns your loyalty. 2 swords go into your belt, the long katana, the short wakizashi. Historian Ivan Morris called this pairing daisho, meaning big little, and by law, only samurai were allowed to wear both. Everyone else in the street can see exactly what you are the moment you step outside. Breakfast is rice, miso soup, maybe pickled vegetables, maybe a small piece of dried fish if your stipend allows it. Meat is rare and often frowned upon under Buddhist influence. You eat quickly. Was breakfast ever meant to be relaxing for a warrior? Not in this house. Now the real day begins. And here is the twist most people never expect. You are not fighting. You have not fought in years. Maybe you never will. By the Edo period, Japan had entered over 2 centuries of enforced peace. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, samurai still existed by the tens of thousands, but wars had almost stopped. So what does a warrior do when there is no war? You become a bureaucrat, a tax collector, a court administrator, a teacher. Historian Constantine Vaporis, who studies samurai daily life in exhaustive detail, describes many samurai spending entire careers doing paperwork, patrol duty, and ceremonial guard shifts instead of combat. Your morning is spent at your lord's residence reviewing rice tax records from nearby villages. Rice was currency. Your own salary is measured in koku, a unit representing how much rice could feed one person for 1 year. You calculate, you record, you file. Your hand aches from the brush and ink long before your arm ever aches from a blade. At midday, you train anyway, because a samurai who forgets how to fight is worse than useless if war ever returns. You practice kenjutsu, sword technique, often for hours, drilling the same cut hundreds of times until your shoulders burn. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman, wrote in his own text, The Book of 5 Rings, that true mastery comes only from relentless repetition, not talent. You also study reading, calligraphy, poetry, Confucian philosophy. A samurai without education was considered only half a warrior. Many carried a small brush and inkstone everywhere because the pen and the sword were treated as equal weapons. In the afternoon, you might be assigned patrol duty in the castle town, walking narrow streets between wooden merchant shops, watching for disturbances that almost never happen. Peace is your job now, and peace is boring, and boredom for a warrior class turns out to be its own quiet crisis. Because idle swords still need a purpose, and that purpose becomes an obsession with honor, ritual, and self-discipline so extreme it borders on self-destruction. This is where Bushido comes from. Not some ancient, unbroken tradition, but largely a code refined and written down during this very era of peace, when samurai needed a philosophy to justify their existence without war. The famous samurai manual Hagakure, compiled from the sayings of Yamamoto Tsunetomo, bluntly states that the way of the warrior is found in death, meaning a samurai should live every day already prepared to die for his lord's honor. Think about that. An entire class of professional soldiers trained obsessively for violence they will likely never use, wrapping their identity around the idea that dying well matters more than living well. Evening arrives. Dinner is small, rice again, maybe grilled fish, maybe seasonal vegetables. Conversation is measured. Loud laughter at the table is considered a loss of composure. After dinner, if you are fortunate enough to have status and coin, you might attend a tea ceremony, a slow, ritualized preparation of matcha tea that takes nearly an hour to perform correctly. Every motion from how you wipe the bowl to how you turn it in your palm is fixed by tradition. It looks like relaxation. It is actually another form of discipline. Nothing in your day is allowed to be careless. Or you might read poetry by lamplight, composing your own haiku because emotional restraint in speech was expected, but emotional depth in writing was admired. Before bed, you clean your swords. Oil, powder, soft paper, repeated with total focus because a rusted blade reflected a rusted spirit. Then your weapons go beside your pillow again, the same place they started the morning. You lie down. You do not know if tomorrow brings another day of paperwork, another year of peace, or the sudden collapse of the entire system you have built your identity around. Historically, that collapse did come. By the late 1800s, the samurai class was formally abolished, swords banned in public, and centuries of ritualized warrior identity dissolved almost overnight into the modern Japanese state. And here is where your world quietly echoes into ours. That obsession with discipline, repetition, and mastering small physical details did not disappear with the swords. It became the foundation of modern Japanese martial arts like kendo and judo, corporate work culture built on hierarchy and self-restraint, and even the meticulous, almost ritualized customer service you still see in Japan today. You practiced a sword cut 500 times so your hand would never hesitate. Someone today practices a craft, a sport, or a skill the exact same way, chasing the same quiet obsession with getting one motion perfectly right. The candle is out again. Your sword rests beside your pillow, not across the room. Not because war is coming, because discipline never rests, even when the world finally does.